Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on God's Time, an IFC movie about some recovering addicts and his love for this woman. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 10, available at Amazon.com. Thanks for coming out to the Trainwreck Distillery tonight in Mount Holly, New Jersey. It was awesome. I had a great crowd, and they asked a lot of cool questions, and I got to talk their ear off about South Jersey legends and the Jersey Devil. All right. This is a story about recovering addicts, these two friends, the two guys, and then there's a girl sharing in their group who shares a little too much and says she wants to kill her parents or something, and her brother, or kill her family, basically. She's at the end of her rope. Dev here wants to be with her. He's in love with her. And instead he says, well, I'm going to save her. And then he recruits his friend to help him. But they're both recovering addicts because they're a bit dopey. I think they end up in the wrong house or something. And he gets pepper sprayed. And then later they go to another house and he poses as Manuel and mixes things up. And I don't know, they go on this weird odyssey trying to save this girl. And wacky things happen. And then in the middle of it, there's this fake commercial for a drug called God's Time, which is something they say in addiction recovery, I think. And here they are in another addiction recovery, and then he's posing as Manuel there for some reason. But it's kind of an interesting movie. It looks like a comedy for the most part, but like kind of a grounded one. I like the premise because you've got two main characters who are a little bit wacky. They're recovering addicts, so they're kind of like right on the edge. And it's a love story too, right? They're good friends, but one friend's trying to help him with the girl. Let's see here. I can't read these credits. Let me blow them up. Screenplay by Daniel Atib, or Atibi. Story by Daniel Antibi, Ben Groh, and Dion Castello. Directed by Daniel Antibi, or Tebi. Not sure I'm pronouncing that right. So he co-created the story, wrote the screenplay, and directed it. Ben Groh, who's one of the actors, and Dion Castello also helped on the story. Then you got Liz Carribble Serrera with Jared Abramson, who I guess is somewhat of a name, who's the guest star in this. Editors, Daniel Atebi. He's also doing the editing. He's doing a lot in this. Did he do the sound? I mean, it's a small production. We've got a lot of executive producers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 executive producers. So, all right. I think, this is looking pretty good. No time on this movie. Let's see if we got more info here. A little bit more. Starring Christiane Sidel. Here it is. Synopsis. Two best friends race against time to stop the woman they're both in love with. They're both in love with. Committing murder. All right. That's a good premise. So they both are in love with the same woman. Both these dudes are in love with the girl. And they're all recovering addicts. So I like it. I like the premise. I think you could do a lot with this. You know, there's always the danger that one of them's going to slip back into drug use if he doesn't win the girl. So you got that little bit of tension. Or the girl, I mean, they're all kind of knuckleheads. I mean, look, even if you're a recovering addict, you have to admit to yourself you're a bit of a knucklehead that you got addicted to drugs in the first place, right? So they're struggling, and that's a good thing for a screenplay because they all have a flaw, right, built into it. And their built-in flaw is they could fall back into drugs. They could fall back into their addiction. So and it says something about their personalities, that they have an addictive personality, right? So they get caught up in things, and they don't always have that control. So that gives it a bit of an edge. Plus, it's in New York City, and they're running around New York like maniacs. It looks fun. It looks fun. I think the only thing missing is a really good soundtrack. The soundtrack's okay. It's just sort of there. Um, a rockin' soundtrack would have really helped this movie. I think something like '90s grunge or whatever, like some kind of driving force. But maybe some indie bands doing the music would have been cool. But yeah, I kind of like the premise, and the leads. See, this is a good casting thing, right? These guys look very different, right? Now, if the guy on the left had a haircut similar to the guy on the right, they'd look too similar, right? If they were both clean shaven with the haircut on the right, they'd look too similar. They'd kind of blend together. But this is a good way you distinguish the characters. You give them different looks. So the one guy on the left's a little more loose and sloppy. The guy on the right's a little more clean cut. Not that they even look that much alike, but if characters look too similar, that's a negative. It's why you don't name a character John and Josh. The names are too similar. Or John and Tom. They sound too similar. You want distinguishable names like Zach and Cody. I don't know why I said Zach and Cody because of that. But those are two very different names. They have different amount of syllables, and they start with a different letter, and they have different vowel sounds. So it helps the characters have a unique voice. It's the very least you can do. Even if the rest of it all sort of blends together, if you do that much, at least the audience can pick them out of a lineup. And then this is their love interest, who seems very hot-headed. I don't know if she's serious about committing the murder, though. I guess she is, because they believe her. But then again, they're wacky recovering addicts, so maybe... I'm not sure what time period this takes place over. I'm going to guess over a few days. Maybe they do change clothes quite a bit. So, yeah. So it may be that part of it takes place over several weeks. Like neither one of them want to approach the girl because they're all recovering addicts. But do any of them even know each other really? Outside of group. Yeah, here's God's Time. And this is kind of wacky. Here he's got, you notice the streak of blonde in his hair during the commercial, and then later when they show him in the trailer, he's got just a little bit of the blonde left on his head. You can find a still of him. Yeah, see there, he's only got a little bit of the blonde hair left. So I'm not sure the timing. This could take place over a longer period of time. But I just like the idea these two knuckleheads are trying to find this girl before she commits a murder, and it's not even clear to me she was serious. She may have just been venting. So first act, they meet, they set up their complicated relationship as recovering addicts in a group thing. They're both in love with her. She makes this statement in group one day. There's probably a couple of scenes of them establishing their timeline a little bit. And then she makes this bold statement, and they're all trying to talk her out of it and discuss whether or not she was serious. And she leaves for some reason. And the guy on the left decides, no, we have to save her. So let's go figure out where she lives. And then I think they pick the wrong place and end up in somebody's apartment by mistake. They get thrown out. Second act, they continue to try to pursue her, and they establish that the guy on the left, Dev, they establish an alternate persona for him called Manuel, which seems to be a running gag in the movie. And other wacky things happen, like a fake commercial for God's Time. So it's definitely a comedy. I like I like the sort of looseness of it. Um, it did make me laugh a little bit. I mean, it wasn't super funny. I think it's like funny, like independent, indie funny. Like it'll be pretty funny. It won't be like Spaceballs or Airplane funny, but pretty funny. I think it could be very funny. Um, and so the second act, they're running around trying to save her, trying to stop her. Third act's got to be some sort of confrontation. Either they stop her from committing the murder, or she commits it, and they help her bury the bodies, which could be. I mean, again, it's a wacky independent film, so that could very well be the ending, or that she gets away with the murders because she somehow blames them and let them take the fall for it. I mean, that would be wacky. And then they both end up in prison together. Still in rehab. As prisoners somehow are. So, or they stop her from killing her family, and probably find out she never really intended to kill anybody. And then they both want to get with her, but I don't think she'd pick one over the other. I think it's more about their journey as friends, and they come to realize she's already hooked up with somebody, or she has zero interest in them, or she's a lesbian, or whatever. Probably. That's what I'm angling for in terms of an ending. If I had to end it, I don't know. I don't know how I'd end a movie. Maybe that she was a total psychopath and they stop her for killing they get into a big fight where they end up stopping her from killing her family, and then realize, yeah, she has to go to jail. And they both together, they capture her, and she goes to prison, and they realize, like, oh yeah, they shouldn't let a woman come between them in their friendship. That to me would be kind of the funniest way to end it. But I don't know. It'll have its own ending. It's called God's Time. I'm not sure when it comes out. It's an IFC movie, so it'll probably be on IFC at some point. It'll probably be on Amazon. IFC and Topic Studios. So yeah, check it out. God's Time. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Thanks for coming out to the Trainwreck Distillery. Catch me at the Deptford Public Library on February 8th at 7 p.m. for my talk on the Jersey Devil. That's it for tonight, and we'll see you